Hello everyone, my name is Heather Autumn and welcome to my channel. Alright, so the weather is actually gorgeous right now, but I heard it's gonna get rainy and kind of gross later in the day. So I figured I would go on a quick walk because this is kind of the end of autumn and some of the leaves are going beautifully and some of the trees are already bare. But I just wanted to soak in those last little moments and take you guys with me. And then we're gonna come back home and I'm gonna show you how to make a sugar-free pumpkin bread. So for those of you who don't know, diabetes kind of runs in both sides of my family. And while I myself have avoided developing that, I just wanted to be kind of sensitive because Thanksgiving is coming up and I imagine that's a really hard holiday for people who have dietary restrictions like diabetes. So like I said, when we return, I will show you how to make that. But for now, let's get out there while the sun is beautiful. How is it almost 70 degrees in Massachusetts in November? This isn't normal. There have been some years where it's already been snowing. But now that I've been mulled by a goose and seen the great outdoors, I'm happy to be back indoors and enjoying my lemonade. But let's get started on the sugar-free pumpkin bread. So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to a viewer who's watched my channel for a while. Their name is Clearly Caribbean Reb 2895. And today is a landmark for them because they are celebrating their 50th birthday. So big happy birthday to them. If you see them in the comments, be sure to wish them happy birthday as well. So I hope you have a fantastic year ahead of you. Birthdays are supposed to be fun and a celebration, and I hope yours is. All right, with that, let's get started on this recipe. I also want to add in that you don't have to have diabetes to eat this. I actually like these things when I'm trying to watch my calorie intake because I am a carb queen and the idea of cutting carbs completely makes me super sad. So sometimes I'll go for alternatives like this. Okay, so just like with all of my other recipes, if you want to see this in writing, please check the description below because I'll have a link to my blog where you can see everything written out. And I encourage you to check out my blog because I have a lot of other recipes there, some that I haven't featured on this channel yet. And it was my blog that started all of this anyway. So with that, let's get started. All right, so the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And you want to prep your bread pans. And I would say pick two. For me, I bought this beautiful little pumpkin one a few years ago, and then I knew that this was gonna make a lot of batter, so I also got out just a regular bread pan. When you mix your dry ingredients, do that in a smaller bowl. I didn't do that, and it's gonna cause problems later on. So in a smaller bowl, you want to get a sifter, or for me, I just used a fine mesh screen, and you wanna sift together your flour, your allspice, your cinnamon, and your baking soda. Make sure this is not baking powder, but baking soda. In In a larger bowl, which again, I didn't do, you want to beat together your sugar alternative as well as your oil and your eggs. Now for me personally, I usually use Truvia in my coffees and teas. It's a 0-calorie sweetener that is derived from natural plants. So that's the one I go with, but feel free to use Splenda or whatever alternative sweetener you use. My only recommendation is to double check and make sure it can be used in baking. So once you've mixed in all of those wet ingredients, you're gonna slowly add in by a spoonful at a time your pumpkin. Now, of course, you can use an electric mixer. I was gonna use my electric mixer, but I noticed that the mixing parts of it were actually a little rusted and I just didn't feel comfortable using those in my baking. So I decided to do it by hand. And while it is an arm workout, it can be done. So now that you have your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients, you're going to slowly add in your dry ingredients into the wet ones. This is why it's best to make the wet ingredients in a bigger bowl. Because I did it the opposite way, where I had my dry ingredients in a bigger bowl, I now had to slowly add in my wet, and that started forming a dough. So that got concerning, and in the end I decided to just put all of the wet ingredients in all at once and have a giant cage match and hope that in the end I would end up with a batter. And after stressing a lot and my arm hurting from the mixing, I eventually did get a batter, which was great. Now that everything's mixed, you want to add in a half cup of water and then mix that in. So now that that's all complete, you want to fill your bread pans up about 3/4 of the way full. This will rise. So if you fill it to the top, there's a chance of it spilling over, which obviously is not fun. And then you're going to pop them into your oven anywhere from 65 to 70 minutes. And a way you can check to see if they're done is to take a wooden toothpick and put it in the center, and if you pull it out and it's clean with no batter on it, then it's done. But if it comes out with batter, it needs more time to cook. Okay, so for me, because I had almost 2 different sizes in terms of bread pans, my smaller one was done first. So I did the toothpick test, it came out clean, and so I removed that and put my pumpkin bread pan back in there almost for another 15 minutes. The other thing is these are very dense. So if you happen to notice that the outside looks done or maybe starting to get a little too golden brown, you can put foil on top, which is what I did, and that will slow down the browning of the outside while allowing the inside to cook. Okay, so I have a slice here. I'm gonna give it a try. If you didn't tell me that this was sugar-free and the only sugar in it was from the pumpkin, I wouldn't believe you. I would think that this is just regular pumpkin bread and it tastes so good and it's perfect for the season. If you're a fan of pumpkin bread and you miss it and for whatever reason you can't have it, give this a try. You can also make it gluten-free by using gluten-free flour, which I didn't know that they sold. I'm learning all kinds of new things today. And it actually goes really well in the fridge and it freezes, which I love. This pairs really well with some pumpkin creamer as well and a coffee. So I hope you enjoyed this quick episode and let this be your excuse to start baking during the winter. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, this is a travel and food vlog. So if I'm not traveling, I'm probably cooking up something in my kitchen or doing both. And if you like that kind of thing, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Not only does it help my channel, but it lets you know when I have a new episode out, which lately has been Wednesdays and Sundays, but Sundays have been most consistent. That's why you should hit the notification bell, because who knows? But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you soon. All right, bye.